How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Draft of the Future. I am Matt, one half of the team. Ryan is going to do his updates here tomorrow. And today, I get to do my updates on the players that I profiled during the summer. So we're going to get right into it. No highlights, just an attempt, as far as I can do, at a brief summary of how they did and how they're looking. Let's start with someone who's really impressed. Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana. I thought he was great in summer, and he's only continued to grow. I acknowledge he's played Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. Those are not the terrors, but I am super looking forward to when they play Illinois, because that'll be a first test. As far as how he did what he was supposed to do. 94 offensive grade, 94.3 offensive grade, 94.3 passing grade. He went 19 of 20 for 270 yards, 13.5 yards per attempt, and 5 touchdowns. He just had an amazing game. He just did his job. And I acknowledge that the competition is lesser, but it doesn't change the fact that you're supposed to do that to bad teams. How do I do this? There are other high-name quarterbacks who played equally unimpressive teams and had far lesser performances. That's how I'll phrase that. And I didn't name any names because you can either identify who they are or not, and who knows? But what matters is when you're playing a directional state or a state team, you should be dominant, and that's what he did. So he still hasn't thrown an interception. He is still doing all the things I loved from his film and not doing the things I was worried he would do. Again, Illinois, first big test, first big game. Let's see how he does. So let's stay in Indiana because I also covered Mikhail Kamara. And I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. He 86 overall on defense, 65.1 on run defense, 88 pass rush grade. So he's done what he needs to do, and you got to acknowledge what when they do what it is they're supposed to be done. Now again, smaller competition. You should do this against smaller teams and perform well. No missed tackles. And so he's done well. He's done absolutely well. So Mikhail Kamara has done everything I've asked him to do. Not like I asked him, but like he's done everything he needs to do, and so has Fernando Mendoza. So that covers my Indiana folks. Let's go on over to Houston. I did not enjoy watching Houston beat up on Colorado. I kind of root for them. And I think they're like the Big 12 is better than people think they are. And for Colorado, I did have Colorado ranked higher. So this is more impressive, and it is a disappointment. I think even Dion would tell you like it was a letdown, because they thought they had a good team and that they were ready. But, they weren't. Kazoil had a 68.2 overall grade. He had a run block grade of 50.2, so not the greatest things there. He had a receiving grade of 73.8. He had 6 targets, 4 receptions, 66.7 receiving percentage. He had 33 yards, 8.3 yards per reception. Still hasn't had any touchdowns, but 4 out of 6 targets. Did he have any drops that game? Let me check here real quick. No drops. And then 2 out of 4 contested catches thus far. So a solid game. Not like the greatest game ever. Not the record-setting game. Certainly not what he did in his first 2 games. But Colorado's a tougher team, and he still did well. Not amazing, but well. So that takes care of Kazoil. Let's talk about Eric O'Neill. He had a 76.5 rush grade against Norfolk, 79 run defense grade, 76.9 tackling grade, 63.6 pass rush grade. So again, that's not like a school grade. 63 is an average grade. So pretty solid. He had 2 sacks in this game against Norfolk, so he still did some good stuff. When you have a lot of sacks but a low grade, that pretty much indicates that he had some cleanup sacks. But I mean, he took the free food that was in front of him. He 27 snaps, so he's getting between 20 to 30 snaps in a game, so he's doing well there. And again, he's kind of in that same group, like he's leveled up. He was dominant when he was in a smaller school, and we're hoping that he continues to dominate as he plays more dominant competition. So he's doing solidly and needs to take the opportunity to take that next step. But he had a good game. Excuse me. Yeah, ESPN says he has 0.5 sacks, and PFF said he had 2 sacks. So there's some conflicting data, but either way, he got to the quarterback. Maybe PFF gave the other credit to the actual people who led up to it, but I'll acknowledge the discrepancy there. But I can only look at the stats that I'm provided. I don't like it when sources conflict their information, but I will disclose it when there is conflicting information. So let's go to the game that made me feel better. Last week, I was on a ledge with Sam Levitt, and we will always, Ryan and I both will say, max out your eligibility. I had Sam Levitt number 2 coming into the year. Last week really didn't look good. I mean, it really didn't look good. And I affirm Mississippi State, they got a corner who's really balling out. And they did well, and Levitt did bad. Now, on one hand, we're like, well, he did much better. He had a 90.6 offense grade, 77.9 passing grade. He went 15 to 25 for 188 yards, 7.5 yards per attempt, which finally is up where we were hoping to be at 2 touchdowns. And then on the ground, he had another 59 yards and another touchdown in that regard. And some people are quick to be like, well, that was Texas State. I like that he had a get-back game. I like that he came off the worst game I've seen with my own eyes and had an amazing game. And now let's see if that Mississippi State game was the outlier or not. And he's going to have to prove that, because that game too was really, really bad. So he's going to have to do a lot to get people to forget about it. He has time. All the quarterbacks, Klubnik, Levitt, Nussmeier, Sellers. Even though I stand behind the premise, max out your eligibility, all those quarterbacks, I don't think any of them have really kind of affirmed themselves as that guy. I'm starting to hear names pitched a lot more, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But at the end of the day, there's still time for them to claim their place in the first round conversation. Whether they want to continue their eligibility or not. And I think Levitt is more on a precipice. People are really cooling on Klubnik. People are cooling on Nussmeier. I still have Fernando as the number 1 quarterback. If I had the number 1 pick in the draft, I would take Fernando Mendoza. And I stand behind that. I reserve the right for the remaining, 9 games to play out. But that's how I feel at the moment. But Levitt kind of did what he needed to do to be like, I had a bad game, I get it, but it was a bad game. And I like that. Going over to his teammate, Jordan Tyson, he had a offensive grade of 79.6. Receiving wise, he had 6 receptions on 8 targets, 1 touchdown, 105 yards. Almost all of that was in the first half. He had 3.28 yards per route run in that game alone. And once again, no drops. So the knock on him was drops. 3 games in, 1 drop. Jordan Tyson's done what he needs to do. And on his worst game, he still did halfway decent. Even above average if you're looking at PFF grades. I still stand behind. It gets complicated. I absolutely love Jordan Tyson. I absolutely would be pleased to have Jordan Tyson on my team. I just think there's a difference between a And I don't know. There are a lot of different ways to shine as a wideout. Justin Jefferson was a first round receiver. Jamar Chase was a first round wide receiver. I had Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors as first round wide receivers. Um, any wide receiver not of that ilk, in my opinion, is a second round receiver. And you can consider that an insult. I'm just comparing it. You're talking about true, like Pro Bowl, all pro guys. And Jordan Tyson can have an amazing career. His breakaway speed has kind of proven to improve. I still don't think he has that high level breakaway, I'm going to take the top off a defense. But he is going to catch the ball and run after he gets it. And there's a lot for him in that. So, yes, I have him ranked lower. I have Carnell Tate above everyone. I barely, Carnell Tate just reached number one on my wide receiver top five. I have Malik Neighbors as 1B, if not, 2. He's way up there, and there are reasons for that. But that doesn't make Jordan Tyson really less than. It's just more of a what do you prefer and what do you look for kind of thing. And people need to know that when they're evaluating talent. So these are thoughts that I want to express. Jordan Tyson has answered thus far all the questions about him, and he should be among the first receivers off the board. And while I have Tate and Lemon above them, and I'll probably in this shadow draft, I'll probably take one of them, whoever falls to me, and be happy doing it because I have Malik Washington is my only receiver really getting consistent reps, and he's not really getting a lot of reps. So I got to do something, and I'd be happy with any one of those guys. So the Arizona State guys, they're really doing their jobs. Alex Harkey. He had his worst game, and last week wasn't his best. If you're looking at the data, it's going in the wrong direction. I can't deny that. 55 offensive grade, 48.5 run block. That's just not enough. 74 pass blocking grade is good. It's above average. But you got to have more balance. That first week he was awesome. That second week he was not bad. This third week it's starting to look a little ugly. And we're hoping he allowed one hit, one hurry, and 2 pressures. Still no sacks. But he needs to get out of the funk that he's in to get going in the right direction again. And I think he can do that. But this was a bad game for his part. And then I know I have Micaiah Hughes, and he's just not getting the opportunities. And I can't blame them. De'Ari Hill had 5 carries for 94 yards. Like, what do you want? So it kind of seems to be outshined, and he's a different kind of back. But he's not getting the ops, so there's really not much I can say, pro or con, because the other guys are just getting more opportunities. But you got one guy averaging 18 yards a carry, another guy averaging 8 yards a carry. He had 1 carry for 5 yards. That's wonderful, but you only had 1 carry. So I hope he starts getting opportunities, and not for any unfortunate reasons. I just hope he gets a chance to shine. He gets something in the rotation, and we'll kind of take it from there. Zane Durant is trending in the wrong direction. His claim to fame in the offseason was, I'm going to vanish, but I'm going to have some really wow plays. But after week 1, he hasn't had any wow plays. He did have a batted ball, but he only had 1 tackle in his game. 63.7 defensive grade, 58.9 against the run, abysmal 28.1 tackling grade, and an average 66.1 pass rushing grade. These are not the kind of numbers you want to call home about. He did miss 1 tackle, which his missed tackle rate's going to look high, but he only had 2 tackle attempts. So that'll balance out. He did miss a tackle, but one missed tackle isn't anything to freak out over. But it was a rough game for him. Rough game for Penn State overall. Penn State, they sure don't look awesome. They got a bye week, so people are gonna forget about them even more. And then they better bring their lunch pail. Pretty sure Oregon's coming up in 2 weeks, so we'll see kind of how that goes. I still think Jake Slaughter is the best center in the class, but he had a bad game. Now, everybody has a bad game against LSU's defense. LSU's defense is arguably, it's them or Ohio State. They're the best defense in football, and LSU really just kind of kept doing what they do. And I was hoping that Jake Slaughter would still kind of be competitive. And he had a 58.8 offensive grade, 59.3 run block grade, and a 79.6 pass blocking grade. So that is awesome against that defense. But he wasn't creating space for that team. He did allow one hurry and one pressure. So it wasn't the worst game ever, but it was a below average game, and it was way below his normal standard of play. And I think he'd admit that. So it's concerning. Let's see how they do. And I'm pretty sure they got Florida next. I don't know, who does Florida play next. It's Miami, right? Yeah, dude. He better be ready, because Miami might be the best defensive line in football. I don't know. It's like they got Bain, and he just tilts the scale. But Reuben Bain is enough of a headache to handle. So I'm high on Barber. I love Slaughter. They need to show that they can do what Notre Dame couldn't do, and show it quickly. And I have faith in Slaughter's talent. So I think he'll turn it around. Even if Florida doesn't win, I think he plays well. Staying on the offensive line side of things, Caden Green had his best game. Now, he had his best game against Louisiana Lafayette, so take that for what it is. He's still only allowed 1 sack and 2 pressures, which is fantastic. He had a 92 offensive grade, a 90.6 run block grade, an 84.8 pass blocking grade, all wonderful things. But I need to harken back to my original tape on him, my original video on him. He does that against great teams. I'm more encouraged by the game he had against Kansas last week than I am this week. I expect him to do this against lesser teams. Kansas was at least a more competitive team, and he played well. So once they get in these SEC games, he'll have the opportunity to show I can play well against good teams, not just outstanding against bad teams, just to be fair. Chandler Rivers had, in my opinion, a better game, but that's only because his tackling was more on point. 69.8 defense grade, 62.7 against the run, 70.4 tackling grade. That's a huge improvement overall in the season. And a coverage grade, his coverage grade is kind of going to be where it is. He's an above average coverage guy, or better. He had 29 coverage snaps and no targets, which to me means like he was just sticking to people, and he's doing its job. And then he had 6 tackles, 1 assist, 1 missed tackle, kind of getting up there in missed tackles. I got him up to 4 right now, and that's a little concerning. But this week against a lesser team was a good turnaround week for him, and so I'm going to choose to be optimistic and happy with where he has grown. Last on my list of folks I want to look at, a guy I'm really, really happy about. For him, I want him to go in the first round. For me, I want him to go in the second round, because in my shadow draft, I want him to be there. I know I need a quarterback up high. I know I want to take a good talent, but I'm kind of leaning toward wide receiver with my second first round pick. And I want to be biting my nails between Perkins and Slaughter with my first second round pick. But I don't know that either one of them is going to be there. For their sake, I hope they're not. For me, I'd certainly be happy with that conundrum. So let's talk about Perkins. He did not have his best game against Florida. So his overall defensive grade was 47, but I'll talk about why that is here in a minute. He had a 72.3 run defense grade, amazing. An 83.6 tackling grade, amazing. A 62.4 pass rush grade, pretty decent. Here's the concern. Against great receivers, great quarterback, and a great offense, even though Florida played badly, he had a 33.7 coverage grade, which really wrecked his overall average. If I come on over here, he was targeted 5 times, allowed 5 receptions for 52 yards at a clip of 10.4 yards per reception. I'm going to start watching how people attack him in coverage. I think he's a great inbox guy. If he falls into the second round, it will be because of his coverage. So I'm hoping to see his coverage improve, but he allows 89% of the catches that go against him, and he has to work on that, to be fair to him. So yeah, that's all the guys that I looked at. I said I'd try to go quick, and I didn't. I don't know. I'm a long-winded guy, folks. So, but that's it for this week. Please remember to like and subscribe. Tune in for Ryan's update. He'll talk about his players. I'm gonna hold up on going over like all the players who really impressed. I talked about some who I really wanted to mention. I'll give John Batir a shout out there as well. But other than that, I'll hold up for our next live broadcast or future videos. So hope you've enjoyed. Please remember to give a like and subscribe. Tune in for Ryan's episode, and we'll see you later. Bye.